Gabriela Garcia, and welcome to the Cleat Geeks Weekly Sports Report. Cleat Geeks has been growing by leaps and bounds over the last few weeks, so much so that telling you about all of our stories every week would take quite a while. Therefore, we are going to change the way we do the Cleat Geeks Weekly Sports Report.
And I'm Michael Allen. We are going to spotlight a few articles for your viewing pleasure and simply give you a quick rundown of what else we are doing on the particular sport.
Our recent NASCAR coverage has us giving you stories like 4 drivers are out, 8 are left for 4 spots, and our latest article is Sprint Cup Series at Phoenix, where we look at the NASCAR race this weekend.
We have increased our Premier Soccer League coverage as well. We now have a dedicated Manchester United writer who has published 3 different and interesting stories in the past week. We also have stories up about Sepp Blatter being released from the hospital, Diego Costa, a place where you can't speak French, the tragic death of the Sunderland goalkeeper, and our Spotlight article, 5 things we learned from Premier League soccer this weekend.
We have added a new writer, Jay Harris, and a new sport, boxing. This week we did our first boxing article about the big fight this past weekend. Plus we will be doing a new weekly segment in the middle of the week called Wednesday Night Weigh-In, where we will talk about boxing for our fans.
Speaking of big fights, the UFC has another big one this weekend that involves Ronda Rousey. So Cleat Geeks has 3 articles for those of you who are Rowdy Rousey fans. We have Ronda Rousey wants to do what? We also have Paige responds to Rousey being a WWE diva and Rousey in Australian controversy.
We now have 6 different episodes of the Collector's Clubhouse. And not only are these articles giving you advice on how to be the best sports card collector, but we also have exclusive deals on all types of sports cards from Majestic Card Breaks that only Cleat Geek readers can take advantage of.
Our MLB coverage is second to none. In just the past week, we have published stories on the Chicago Cubs, Kansas City Royals, Anaheim Angels, Minnesota Twins, Colorado Rockies, Yankees, and the Miami Marlins. We also want to put the spotlight on 2 of our recent MLB articles. The last 2 weeks we have done our Feel Good Friday articles from the baseball world. Last week was the touching story of one of our very own writers and how her baseball writing has helped her deal with her child's autism, and baseball plus writing plus autism equals Feel Good Friday. And this week we tell the story of the Washington Nationals bat boy who wants to be a GM, but is hiding a very dark secret in the Nationals bat boy is the Feel Good Friday.
We have also drop-kicked our competition and increased our wrestling coverage as well. We now do weekly articles on WWE programming, Raw, SmackDown, Breaking Ground, NXT, and all pay-per-views.
This past week we buried 3 from downtown with our newly expanded NBA coverage. We are now covering the Milwaukee Bucks and the Chicago Bulls. Plus, within the next week, we will be adding the Warriors, Lakers, and Cavaliers. Then college hoops starts next week on CleatGeeks.com as well.
At CleatGeeks.com, we have enough NFL writers to make our own offensive line. Every week we have our Thursday night preview, the 10 things we learned from article, the Pick 6 fantasy sports article, the Panther Post, Cover 3, and Monday morning QB articles. This week's Spotlight football article is Diary of a Cheesehead Part 3. Tim Ross takes us inside of a cheesehead as the Packers have gone from 6-0 to 6-2. He dives into the reasons for those 2 back-to-back losses and slices us off some hunks of stat cheese that will hopefully right the ship for a win this week against the 1-7 Lions.
Lastly, don't forget about all the different ways you can become part of the Geek Nation. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, and even listen to our podcast on Rabble TV by searching Cleat Geeks. Or get the experience of live interaction every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 2 p.m. on the West.
That's going to do it for us for this week's episode of the Cleat Geeks Weekly Sports Report. I'm Gabriela Garcia.
And I'm Michael Allen.
And to end the episode, we just want to take a moment of silence for the recent tragedies that happened in Paris.